Hello, dear viewer. Today I'd like to pose to you a question. Do you like violence? Genocide? I mean, you don't have to lie. We're all friends here, aren't we? I mean, it's a part of you. A part of all of us. Now, if you like any of the stuff I talked about or what you just saw, then you're gonna love Risk of Rain 2. Risk of Rain 2 is a third-person shooter roguelike, developed by Helpo Games and published by Gearbox Publishing. It's a sequel, as you could probably tell by the fucking title, to the acclaimed Risk of Rain 1, which was a 2D roguelike that I never fucking played. Now, before you spurg out like some fucking retard, spouting,
Risk of Rain 1 is a better game. You're so fucking stupid. How could you not play it and then play Risk of Rain 2? You're so fucking stupid.
shut the fuck up. No one gives a shit about anything you just said. And secondly, cope. No, but in all seriousness, Risk of Rain 1, from what I hear, is an amazing game, and one day I will go back and I will play it. It's just, I'm not really that into 2D pixel art roguelikes, alright? But hey, from the looks of it, it looks like it'd be fun, so yeah, one day I'll try it, blah 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 blah. 9/11 was an inside job, the CIA killed Kennedy, there is no square in China. Risk of Rain 2's story is pretty simple. Basically, in Risk of Rain 1, in the future, Amazon and Jeff Bezos have cornered the market on shipping packages on a galaxy-wide scale. You, as one of many wages, are on this ship just trying to earn an honest wage, so that you may one day have aspirations of investing in Dogecoin and becoming rich. Unfortunately, Jeff Bezos does a little trolling and basically steals from what equates to Space Jesus.
Really, nigga?
Now, in retaliation, Space Jesus chimps out and commits an act of domestic terrorism. Which he's completely justified in doing. So, Space Jesus finishes up his little temper tantrum, leaving your ship to crash land onto the planet below. And unfortunately for you, even when you are a victim of domestic terrorism, you are still on the clock. So, you suit up, you get out there, you collect those packages, you find Space Jesus, beat the ever-living fuck out of him, fix your ship, and get the fuck out of there. And that's how Risk of Rain 1 ends. Risk of Rain 2 picks up pretty much right after all this, as you play as a completely different wagey on a different ship sent to go and collect the packages and see if any of the other wagies survived. Thus, the cycle repeats itself. But that's the basic story overview. So with that all completed, I can finally talk about the good part of the game, the actual gameplay. Now to start the game up, it's very basic. You click single player, you get into the character select menu, you choose one of many wages. Well, I have many, but when you start out, you're only gonna have this fucking basic bitch. And then you choose the difficulty. Now, I highly recommend that you do not play on this one.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
This one is for little baby bitches and you don't learn the game, because it is so piss easy. Now, this one right here, this is what you should be playing on, and I highly recommend you start with this.
Oh yeah.
And this one over here, this is for the turbo gamers, such as myself, because this one, if you start out with, it will fucking whoop your ass, I promise you that. So with your difficulty selected, your character selected, you go ahead and you jump into the game. Now gameplay in and of itself is very basic. You fight enemies, you kill them, you get money, you open the packages, you collect random items, and that's about it. You go to the teleporter, you fight a boss. Very basic, very simplistic. Now another thing that the game has built into it is a difficulty timer in the top right corner of the game. Basically, the longer you take, the more difficult the game will become. So it basically gives you a little bit of a push to keep going and not take too much time on each level, as the longer you take, the more expensive the chests will be, and the more powerful the enemies you fight will be. With all this in mind, your main goal is to power through 6 stages and become strong enough to kill God, or just loop eternally as a cyclone of death and destruction, raining ruin upon all those who would slight you. But the choice is yours, so do as your little autistic brain desires. Now, with that boring ass shit out of the way, we could get into the characters of Risk of Rain 2. As you can see here, we got quite the wide selection of wage-slaved individuals. We got men, women, Doge, a fucking cybernetic weed plant. I mean, we really got it all. Now, with all that amazing diversity being put on full display, we're gonna go ahead and start it off with the Chad King himself, Commando.
Hi.
Now, Commando's gonna be the character that everybody starts with, because he's the first and only character you get. That's right. State-enforced Commando BF. Now, luckily for us, he's actually pretty fun. His mechanics are very simple. He's got his dual-wield pistols that he can shoot, he's got his piercing shot, he has a little dodge roll, and his special is that he does a rapid fire. That's it.
God damn it.
That's his whole entire kit. He's simple and gets the job done. Now with Commando's lame ass out of the way, we can go ahead and get into Huntress, who is far more fun and far more unique. The first big difference between the two is her primary fire. See, unlike Commando's, which is just a point and shoot, her ability is more of enemies get close to you and the arrows that you shoot automatically track to them. Now it does have some range to it, but it does require enemies to be there, so it's kind of a trade-off, if you will. Her secondary ability is her Laser Glaive, which has the ability to ricochet between enemies. It is very good for crowd control, and probably one of her best abilities overall, as its synergy with the items we'll be talking about later in the video is absolutely absurd. Her last two abilities are her Blink ability, which allows her to teleport away from anything, like the glowies or the IDF, and her last ability, her Arrow Rain, which is self-explanatory. You put it somewhere and it drops a bunch of arrows on an enemy. Simple as. I mean, other than the downside that you have to play as a woman, I honestly don't know why you wouldn't pick her. Her abilities are awesome, she's fucking hot. Like, what do you have to lose here? What are you, fucking gay? Up next, we have Bandit, the rootin', tootin', cowboy shootin' piece of shit character that I fucking hate. Now, look, I'm gonna be honest here. This part is completely biased to me. I do not like Bandit. He's probably my least played character on the entire roster, which means a lot, because I really enjoy all the other characters. I tend to play them all equally, but Bandit, I pretty much never play unless I want to have a bad time. He feels incredibly underpowered. I don't know if it's his abilities or just his overall feel, but it sucks, because he has one of my favorite aesthetics out there, the space cybernetic cowboy. How fucking awesome is that? What a fucking shame he's dog shit. Now let me get into these fucking garbage ass abilities. Now first and foremost, you got his primary fire, which is a shotgun. Cool, right? But it's on a charge. Why is it on a charge? Why not just let me shoot the shotgun? So maybe it's just really powerful, so that's why it needs to be a charge shot. Well, here's the problem with that. It is strong, but I don't think it's strong enough to warrant it being on a charge. His next ability is the worst one in the entire fucking game, and I stand by this till the day I fucking die. It is so fucking horrible. This ability being the Serrated Dagger, which is about as effective as a prison shank. In fact, that's giving it a little too much credit. I mean, between the dog shit damage,
Really, nigga?
and the fairly long charge time, this shit should have just been aborted before it had any chance to become the failure that it is. On top of this, they could have just kept Bandit's original secondary ability, which was his Dynamite Toss. But unfortunately, it had to go, for no fucking reason. Now, his last two abilities, I don't really got much to say. You have his Invisibility, which is very good, and you have his Revolver, which refreshes all your abilities upon kill. So also pretty alright. All in all, I don't like Bandit, but I do suggest you give every character on the roster at least one try. But yeah, fuck Bandit, he could suck my fucking dick. Now, for the next characters, I'm gonna have to be very brief, because I kinda want to finish this video sometime in the next fucking decade. So, up next we have Multi, your average blue-collar normie, turned violent. I hate the Antichrist! I hate the Antichrist! Ah! His kit is simple. You have your nail gun for killing gang stalkers, which you could change into your rebar launcher for getting rid of meanie no-no people. your scrap grenade for eliminating worshippers of Moloch, and your transport mode so that way you can keep getting away with it. All around a very well-rounded and upstanding citizen. Engineer, probably one of the easiest characters on the roster. Simply put, he has 2 turrets which inherit the items that you collect, and they have aimbot. So, it's pretty easy to spiral out of control very quickly, as you basically have the manpower of 3 characters. Other than that, he has his dome, which if you stand inside, you're pretty much impervious to damage, and you can throw down landmines. All in all, very simple character, very easy, and very fun, but can get boring at times. Artificer, or as I like to call her, War Crime Mommy, is probably one of my favorite characters on the entire roster.
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be held, I want to be comforted.
Her primary fire is she shoots fireballs out of her hands, which do a large amount of damage, but are on a charge. Her secondary is her charged nanobomb, which basically just shoots a big ball of fuck you in whatever direction that can also chain lightning to nearby enemies. Absolutely inhumane and beautiful in every way. After that, she's got her ice wall, which is, well, an ice wall, and her final ability, my favorite, being the flamethrower, so that you can commit said war crimes. All in all, I really enjoy playing her. She's a little slow, but once you get the ball rolling, oh, it is just so much fun. Mercenary is a character for the mentally deranged and unhinged, as he is one of the most difficult characters to play, especially on Monsoon. He is a melee-only character with no ranged abilities at all, but I think his kit is probably one of the most well thought out in general, as he kind of has everything he needs as a melee character. Need extra mobility? Here you go, bro. You start with an extra jump. Need your primary to be better? Boom! Every 3rd strike makes you do increased damage and reduces your cooldowns. Enemies mobbing you? Whirlwind unleashes a slice all around you, dealing damage to everything in that area. And if you're in the air, it does it in a vertical fashion. Need more mobility and to do damage? Blinding Assault. Every time you charge into an enemy using your shift, you get 1 more charge until you've expended all 3. You want to turn invincible? Evisceration. You become completely undamageable and can deal a shit ton of damage to multiple targets. His runs are some of the most fun, but holy shit are they fucking difficult if you're not constantly comboing into each one of your abilities. 10 out of 10, highly recommend at least trying him. Now it's time to talk about our planty boy, Rex. Rex's concept alone is fucking crazy. I mean, he's literally a cybernetic plant, and his abilities are just as crazy. For instance, his primary, Directive Inject, where he shoots off a 3-round burst of 3 plant syringes that deal damage, weaken targets, and heal you. Goddamn, pretty strong right off the cuff. His secondary ability, Seed Barrage, which damages you, but calls down a mortar that does 450% damage, is a pretty good ability as well. Even if it costs about a pound of flesh to use, which is kind of dark if you think about it, because it basically implies that he's tearing off a piece of his flesh and using it as a weapon. Fucking metal. His utility is a little boop that can send enemies flying off a cliff, or can send you flying off a cliff. Very fun. His last ability is Tangling Growth, which allows him to shoot out a flower that'll tangle up a bunch of enemies and drain them of their health. Like how your mom drains me of my Loader, the muscle mommy. Honestly, don't have much to say. She's the best movement character in the game and just good overall. She has her punching fists, which give her armor upon consecutive hit. She has her charging super punch, her grappling hook, and her weird UFO lightning thing. All in all, simple kit, very epic, very fun, and if you want an easy run, this is the character for you.
She's muscle dummy, mommy. Please step on me. Oh!
Acrid, the horseman of pestilence, is basically just a poison dogo. He's a melee character whose kit revolves around spreading poison. Like, you remember back in the day when people would get anthrax in the mail? It's kind of like that, but awesome. His primary is just a basic claw attack that has a 3-hit combo string that kills you on the 3rd hit. His secondary is just a bolt of poison spit that infects the enemy and causes them tick damage. His special is just a big ol' slam where he just leaps forward and smashes onto the ground, spreading poison all around him in a little pool.
Imagine the smell.
Akkerd's special ability, my personal favorite, is much like his secondary where he shoots a bolt of poison. However, this one is far better, as it spreads and spreads and spreads to as much enemies are in the area. You can get to bubonic plague levels of devastation with this fucking attack. It's so cool. And that about sums up his entire character. He's a good poison dogo, even if he was developed by the CIA in order to control the general populace. I give him a 10 out of 10.
Where are you, my heart? Can find you in the
Now in this little section, I'm just going to talk about two modded characters that I really like, and honestly, you should really get them. The first one is Enforcer, which is a character from Risk of Rain 1. Want to live out your darkest fantasies of being a corrupt police officer? Here you go, buddy. And the other character being Paladin. Hey, do you simp for Berserk like I do? Here you go, my boy. Big sword man, go clang, clang, clang. And there's another mod you can get that literally turns you into Guts Berserker. And with that, the character section is completed. We got a wide range of individuals here, special, crazy, completely unhinged. I would say you give them all a try. You may not like all of them, but, you know, at least give them a fair shake. The items of Risk of Rain 2. Now, aside from stages, characters, and enemies, this is probably the thing you're going to interact with the most in the entire game, as these will make or break a run. Now, as of the making of this video, there are currently 7 tiers of items. Now, the tier that you're going to start out with and probably get the most of are the white items, or gray, or common, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Of these items, these are basically your all-arounders. You can never go wrong picking these up. They're all pretty much good. 2 of my favorites are the used heroin needle, which increases your rate of fire to an insane degree. The more of them you get, the faster you shoot. Simple as. And the gamer goggles. Now, these motherfuckers, you slap these on, you're hitting crits for days, man. And the more of these you get, which is, I would say, you want to get about 10, boom, you're pretty much only hitting crits. It's amazing. Now we got the green items. Now, these ones are a bit different from the gray items, as some of them are kind of not really worth picking up, but some of them in here are just, they're insane. For instance, Ukulele. This item makes it so that when you shoot an enemy, there's a chance that it'll just chain lightning to other enemies. It's really, really good. The more ukuleles you get, the more you chain. The more you have a chance of chaining. It's fucking ludicrous. And then you have Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp makes it so that when you kill an enemy, they explode. The more of them you get, the more explosions and the bigger the explosion. So yeah, they're fucking awesome. Amazing. But then you have items like Red Whip, which increases your speed, but if you get hit, you lose that speed increase. And then you have an item like Chrono Bobble, which causes enemies to be slowed when you shoot them. It's like, that's good, but I don't really give a shit. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
What's up, fuckers? I'm Professor Macho, and today I'm gonna educate you on the power of red items. Red items are the cherry on the top of your build in most cases. They complete the playstyle, just like your mom completes me. Want to be an amazing crowd control? Pick ceremonial daggers. Want to double the effectiveness of your proc items? Pick 57 leaf clover and the bosses will look like this. Already have good crowd control and want to convert those goyams to your world order? Pick happiest mask and wrangle those tards to victory. Orange items or equipment are kind of optional, but for some builds they're essential. For other builds they can provide some nice benefits in a pinch. Items like Heal Root and Jade Elephant are great for staying alive. Or the radar scanner for when you can't find the fucking teleporter! But right now, I'm gonna focus on two items that I like to use. The disposable missile launcher and the royal capacitor. These are great offensive items, one being good for clearing a horde of those dumbass wisps, and another being great for doing big damage to big bad fellas. Moving on to blue or lunar items. These are sort of a mixed bag. They all try to be double-edged swords, but if you ask me, that some of the drawbacks aren't even bad at all, making some of the items incredibly broken. Gesture of the Drowned is a perfect example. It halves the cooldown of your equipment, but forces it to activate when the cooldown is over, which honestly I prefer. It makes it so I can have Jade Elephant activating all the time. I like to hear it scream. Other lunar items make me wanna fucking kill myself. This effigy shit. Drop it down, and it makes everyone in this tiny zone become slow. Like, man, whoever designed this shit must be slow, goddamn! And on top of that, it takes up an equipment slot! Like, what the fuck?
And the last group of items we have are the boss items. Now the boss items, or the gold ones, are some of the best in the game. They're all pretty good. The two best ones being the Charged Perforator and the Titan Knurl. Both of them are amazing, the Titan Knurl being something you rip off of a dead stone titan. It gives you more health and improves your health regeneration, and the Charged Perforator, which you get from slaying the most powerful boss in the entire game, the Overload Worm. The Charged Perforator's ability just makes it so that when you shoot, you have a chance to call down lightning strikes. It's probably one of the best proc items in the entire game. And with that, the items are finished. Amazing, good, mixed bag. Oh no, I think you should just grab whatever the fuck you feel like grabbing. And with the items and characters and general gameplay being covered, I don't think there's really much more for me to say. I mean, there's stages and enemies which I could go on for even more hours, but I mean, it's awesome and you really should experience the rest of that shit on your own. There's plenty of endings to the game, whether that be you dying, obliterating yourself, or killing Space Jesus' bitch-ass brother. Really, there's so much fun to be had with this game. I mean, I've already sunk an ungodly amount of hours in it, and I'm sure that if you give it a try, you'll probably sink just as many, if not more. Or less. I don't know. I'm not you. Fuck you. I mean, hell, with the DLC out, there's even more to enjoy, with there being even more new items, even more new enemies, and even a new fucking game mode. Let's fucking go! On top of that, Hopewell was so kind with this DLC that if you get it, you can play with your friends and they don't even gotta buy it either. It's pretty fucking sick. I wish more games did that. And that's not even talking about all the other mods that I didn't cover in this video. So yeah, honestly, it's almost infinite fun you can have with this game. And with that, my final verdict is Risk of Rain 2 gets a solid 3 Challenge of the Mountains out of 10 Soldier Syringe. Simply a banger of a video game. Holy shit, this is taking me so goddamn long to finish. All I have to say is, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day, morning, evening, man, whatever the fuck you're going. Sayonara, nigga!